Welcome back, folks. Welcome back. So let's see. I've got a couple of things I've added here in terms of my variables. I've got an exterior seed, which is an integer, which I've just got a 2000, just a random set of numbers. You put whatever you like in here, and a linear color for my tree tint. This is just currently set as a sort of a mid-gray for the moment, and we'll come to using this in a second to blend within our trees. So let's just compile these and jump back into here. I'll show you how to use a seed. I'm going to do it with the rocks initially, and I'm just going to actually steal this transform points node to speed things up. I don't actually want the scale out of here, although I suppose I could actually create a simple scale option, I suppose. So let's just plug this in out of here, transform points, and I think what I want to get back to property, and the property I want is exterior seed, and this is just going to plug into, where's my seed value here, there we go, plug this in, and what's quite nice about this is if I go into my transform points, I've got my scale for my rocks, let's say uniform scale 0.75, 1.25, and let's say some rotation values. Let's just throw, I think these are fairly round rocks in my honesty, so we'll throw in some 360s in here as well, and we're offset min and max. Well, let's see, bury some in the ground in the Z. So let's go and have a look at those rocks might be looking a little bit too, that might be a bit too much. Let's go and have a look here. Exterior seed. I bet I've not put it into a folder. That would be my exterior seed. Yeah, there we are. It's not in a folder. Let's put that in exterior. And this one as well. Compile. There we go. Exterior seed. Here we go. So you can see now if I'm rotating that, changing that scale value, then it's pushing through. Each time it does that, it's transforming these transform points. It's probably got a bit much in terms of these rotations. Let's take these down to something like 5 and 5 here, or 15 and 15, and I don't know, minus 15, I guess, just to see if we can get some wonkiness to these rocks. What's quite nice is because you've updated it, it'll just do the default. You can see this is actually quite a small rock here, so shrinking that down is having quite a noticeable effect. But you know, we are able to resize those rocks for some variation, which again, pretty cool. Might have to be mindful of where this tree is and avoid some clipping, but again, it works, which is cool. The color, let's go into how we create the color. So I've also created, you know, we've got these filters for the lights which we used before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and start extracting things for the color node. So what we're going to do, there's a few things we need to do. We need to go into our plants material, which is the material for the leaves here. There's a tree material on the trunk and a leaves material here. There you go. You can see sort of set up with its subsurface color and so on. But what we can add to that is a per instance custom data node, as you can see here, and this is just a per instance custom data. It's a float, sorry, it's a vector 4 in this particular case, and the default value, because it's a blend overlay of 0.5. I might change that to be something different if this was a multiply overlay or something like that, you know, a multiply tint, but we've got that sort of set up like this. With the subsurface color, I suppose what I could do, maybe I could even push that a little bit further, and let's should we put that into there? Or it might be a bit overkill, but let's see. We can always take it out if it is a little bit much. It might mean the color pops a little bit more in this instance. Anyway, so let's get back into our PCG graph for adding this. Now what we need to do with our nodes for our trees here is we need to come out of our element here, and we want to add an attribute. So we'll add an attribute. Now I'm going to call this attribute I'm going to call it a color profile. So let me see, output target, let's call it color profile. and the type we want is vector4, and we're going to have this to be 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. It's going to match the blend over here, so it's not going to break anything. Okay, so that color profile is going to be added as an attribute, and then we're going to filter attribute elements, and we're going to filter by again like a target attributes tint trees, alright, so if tint trees is true, there we go, get the trees, which is what we want. But what we want to be able to do then into these trees is we want to be able to get the property of our tree color here. So we're going to do add attributes again, and in our add attributes here we'll come back and we will do copy all attributes and get actor property. There we go, and we want this to be tree tint, which is the variable that we've got. Let's plug that in here. Did we compile? Let's see, there we go. So we're adding our attributes, and if we go into our elements here, we should be able to filter this out and see our elements of what's going on. Let me just see if this is, let's just plug this through in here. Tree tint, oh, we need the attribute name that this is going to be applied to, so we want this to be applied to color profile. There we go. Color profile. Yeah, color profile. This is doesn't seem to want to add that. That seems color profile. Interesting. Tree tint. Tree. Did I call it tree color? Tree tint. Tree color. There we go, that's why. Naming conventions, Dave. Tree color. And then what we need to do in our static mesh spawner is we need to add back in what's going on with this, right? And we need to do that further down here. So in our instance data packer, what we need to do is we need to go and get the attributes for our elements. And what we're going to do is on our instance data is we're going to come in and we're going to say color profile dot x. If we add all of those, x, y, and what you should be seeing here is our color profile. Z, and we want W as well. So that is on our instance data. It's going to be extracting these out of here, and it's going to be taking our tree color property and adding that to that profile. So we're creating a color profile here with 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. We're then getting our actor property. We're adding that to the color profile. So we're taking this data, putting it towards the color profile, and then we're using that when we're spawning our meshes on a per instance basis here. So let's see if this works. We should be able to colorize our trees by selecting a color. So let's say like a deep red here, hit OK, and there's our trees as a deep red. And look at that subsurface color has really made those trees pop real super deep red. That's probably a little bit much, but you get the idea that we can do pretty much whatever we want with these trees now. and do what we like. Obviously, we can take that back to the original by resetting it here. So great, I've done that. You might notice that I've lost all my rest of my assets in my tree color, and that's because I only wanted to colorize the trees here. So I can just go and get anything that's not the tree filter, and I can just add that back in just so it spawns that as well. So in that respect, we're spawning all those things, but we're also doing the colorizing of those trees. So far, so good. The one thing that we haven't yet got around to, incidentally, as well, is we've not solved our decals. You might notice the decals are suspiciously absent. So let's go and find our decals. So what we're going to do is we're going to, where we were initially sort of filtering elements back here, we filtered out the decals over here. Again, I could go and, we could go and get our, let's turn that, let's disable that static mesh spawner and go and get our decals here. You can see all of these elements are these decal meshes that we tagged previously are all here. Now what we want to do is be able to sort of filter and control those and use those elements here. So what we'll do in the next video is we'll attack each of these sort of in turn and spawn decals, making use of those properties as we've got before. So I'll see you in the next video for doing that.